You are watching the Blueprint Radio Show with DJ Miss Hennessy.
Niggas used to be at the top of their game. You used to have streets on lock, money, bitches, cars, and fame. But what goes up will surely come down, and it's so sad you don't see you around. You had everything in the palm of your hand, but you lost it all and they killed your right hand man. Oh no. Nigga, haven't you heard of lay low? It ain't like back in the days when you can easily get off elbows. Feds got the homies in the hood that work for hire. These niggas be singing more than the Creflo Dollar Church choir. Liar, liar, 501's on fire, but you never catch me slipping, spilling beans on the wire. 3 steps ahead of the feds and the folks keep spinning. One thing about cocaine, I always stay winning. Moving in the right direction, ain't letting nothing hold me down. Ain't worried about distractions when my eyes always on the ground, cause I stay winning. Ain't no in between, cause I stay winning. You can hate all day, but I'm living the dream. Yeah, I plant seeds in the dirt like Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm a giant in the game, the ground shake when I walk. Feet 5-4 bum like run nigga run. The bullets burn like vampires posted in the sun. Now it's a shame that anybody can pick up a mic nowadays, buy some YouTube views and get 5 million plays. And they claim they sell it platinum, but they buy their own records. They got everybody fooled like they hella respected. Back MCs think they G's, but I think they really lost it. Didn't Michael Jackson tell you keep that shit in the closet? I'm from that era where you had to scrap, couldn't go in the house without Pop saying go back outside and knock a nigga out. Buddy boy, homie, I'm the real McCoy. Like y'all soft like Leroy. Well, alright, y'all. Y'all think y'all missed the big stuff? More like cream puffs. Hey. Moving in the right direction, ain't letting nothing hold me down. Ain't worried about distractions when my eyes always on the ground, cause I stay winning. Ain't no in between, cause I stay winning. You can hate all day, but I'm living the dream. Oh.
Hey, what's up everyone? This is DJ Miss Hennessy right here, the Blueprint Hip Hop Soul Show. Today, this is an absolute exclusive. I'm so excited to have this brilliant man speaking with us all the way from Pomona, California. We have none other than the legendary Kokane in the house. Thank you so much, sir, for joining the show today. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, blessed. I can't complain. How about yourself?
You know what? We're doing okay. We are currently, I think, hopefully in our last weeks of what has been a nightmare lockdown period. Like, I don't know if you guys are hearing or seeing on the news in the States about what's happening in Australia, especially Sydney, where I'm from, but it has been, Delta ain't playing. That's all I'm gonna say. How are you guys going?
Oh, yeah, just dodging that. Me and my family got over the COVID virus. So,
Are you serious?
yeah, it was a roller coaster ride.
Man, how has that been?
It's one hell of an experience, put it like that.
Wow. How are you feeling right now? Is it something you're still kind of working through?
No, we got over it about like 2 weeks ago,
Wow.
but there are some remnants, some breadcrumbs of symptoms. It's I call it a bio um, chemical type of weapon
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's incredible to experience the COVID virus. I don't wish that on my worst enemy.
Wow, man, that is crazy. Like we've had some incredible numbers out here, and I know people don't get, I think, why Australia's kind of taken the position we've taken and shut down things, and it's been hard, but people forget that we're an island uh, on at the other side of the world, and there's only yeah, we've got a lot of people here, but it's an island, and if we don't contain, that's it, or it's a wrap. So it has been a huge eye opening, I think, and then hearing stories like yours, and it's unforgiving. So I'm hopeful that we just get a handle on it on a global sense, so we can get back to some sort of normality, right?
Right. Well, we just keep on praying. At
That's
the end of the day, Heavenly Father is the one that can make sense out of this, so to speak.
absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, moving forward now with the world currently, in and out of lockdown, for creatives such as yourself and myself, working in the music industry and, trying to just maintain what it is that we do. What has this period been like for you? Obviously, when you haven't been not feeling well musically and creatively, how have the last 18 months sort of been for you with your label and the music?
Well, it's been all work. That's all we could do is stay in the back cave and just work. I've been in there for like a year and a half, ever since this virus started, because everything was basically on lockdown. So, music is very therapeutical. It's something that's in my DNA. And we just simply worked.
Yeah.
That's about it. And now, it's tons of projects, paraphrasing. There's tons of projects that are coming out from our camp called Buddy Boy Entertainment.
Yeah.
I am the owner of Buddy Boy Entertainment. It's taken after my middle name, Jerry Buddy Long. Um, and I started it with my wife. She's the vice president, Alicia Long.
That's
And plus, my kids are on board, from my twin boys to my daughter being an artist. And it's just, we got a lot of stuff coming out, put it out. So we took advantage definitely of this COVID situation by
well
just
done to
simply
you.
working.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well done. I mean, look, and it also keeps the same, right? Because I don't know about you, but I just can't sit down and watch time go on past. We've got to seize the
Yeah.
moment. We've got opportunities to be able to create and to continue putting that timestamp on things. And what I love about what you've just said is it's a family unit that you're working with, right? So I read somewhere your sons are they on the graphic design end of your business?
Graphic design, web design,
That's
uh, everything, all the components we need for a successful independent label. My daughters draw. I have one daughter. Her name is Anissa Long. She'll be coming out with a single pretty soon. So it's eight of the kids, and it's two adults. And been with my wife 37 years, married 31, and we have eight wonderful children. And we pride ourselves on family because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that can really navigate you, through this roller coaster ride. I don't care what industries you are in, but you got to have something to ground your wire so you don't get shocked.
amen.
And
I agree.
yeah, God, blessed me with an awesome wife, beautiful children, very intuitive to the music industry, but the intelligence and business of the music industry. That's what I like, especially when it's coming from, empowering the young women, empowering the young men. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's like, us as parents got to give them their starters kit.
absolutely.
And, God blessed us, to be fortunate to move like a family, move as one unit.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think more amazing is the amount of years that you've been married. So bless you both for that. That's incredible.
Thank you.
31. You don't look a day over 35, brother. So I'm just gonna put that out there. I caught a glimpse of your beautiful wife before the same. So you're beautiful, right? Just amazing.
God bless you.
That at any time. And look, I'm a huge advocate for the longevity of unions and keeping the family together. I've been married for 16 years. My husband is he's an American ex-Navy veteran, so I've got that pride with me, and he's here with me too. So it's an amazing thing when you can do things. Thank you. When you
Tell
can
him I
do
said cheers.
together. I will, and he's a huge fan of yours as well. So he's when he heard, like I told you, when he heard I was talking to you, he was like, "Yo, this track," and he did this track, and oh my God, you're talking to a real legend. So yeah, this is a beautiful thing. So congratulations to you on that side of obviously building your
Thank you.
family empire. This isn't something, however, that is unusual for you because you've been born into an incredible musical legacy, not only for your own sort of footprint within the G-Funk movement on the West Coast,
Right.
but if we can just a little bit talk about your incredible dad and the work that he did with the Motown era. I was blown away when I did research and I found out who your dad was and how instrumental he was in, sort of forming groups like the Temptations and music that we listen to and we've grown up with in our homes.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about your dad and the influence that he's had on you and your career?
Well, my dad, Jerry Buddy Long Sr., was a very incredible writer, composer, conductor, orchestrator, director, etc. over there at Motown. But prior to coming to Motown, he worked on a little Richard record going back to the chapel. That was 1959. Worked with Frank Sinatra. And then just a slew of hits over there at Motown. He was an intricate puzzle piece, a cornerstone puzzle piece to the Motown sound, period. His works include Just My Imagination by the Temptations, Marvin Gaye, The Supremes, Four Tops, Undisputed Truth, over 500 musical composition, that man, had did. And it was crazy because when I was growing up as a little kid, I didn't understand, the scope of my pops, because at the same time, there is good things that he did, but there were mostly a lot of taboos and cons besides the pros, over there with the schematics of the business at Motown Records. I don't know the way they move now. I'm pretty sure they move, very legit, but back in those days, you subject to get, whacked or anything, So, growing up as a child, he didn't really reap the benefits from the fruits of his labor, even though he was credited. And you go back years later, a lot of our brothers and sisters, got raped for the money, and he was, unfortunately, one of those guys that did the most incredible things over there, was part of the Funk Brothers, just incredible musician. But we had to stay in a suppressed environment. We had to stay in those ghettos. So growing up in Pomona, California, first of all, I was born in South Bronx, New York.
Yes, I discovered that too. I always thought you were born on the West Coast. And
But my mom, who was a singer, and my dad, who was a musician, they moved from New York. And first we stayed in LA for a little bit. But then my grandparents, because I stayed with my grandparents, they moved to Pomona, California. So they was trying to get out of the frying pan, but went into the boiling pot.
Yeah.
you know.
Like so
So
many of our family back then, I think for a lot of us, just trying to move and thinking you're making the right move, and it's
right.
yeah.
But we moved to Pomona, California, and that's where I learned my, so to speak, game from. My gift to gab and the different type of language that we do, and I was always doing talent shows, like in 82, 83, and then my cousin, his name is Kool 187 from one of the most prolific groups out here, which was from Above the Law. And he used to do a lot of talent shows, and it was already in us because my uncle Willie Hutch, he was in the game too. He wrote for Motown. Used to write for the Jacksons. He wrote ABC, I'll Be There, did the scores of movies such as The Mac. And so it's kind of like we had the cheat code growing up because music was always in our household. There was never a time where we wasn't hearing blues, soul, jazz, etc. And I used to do a lot of talent shows, sister. And a lot of the shows I won, was cool, but then there was no record label to sign me and different other things. So I decided in 1986 to do a record, well, 87 to do a record with my uncle Willie Hutch.
Right.
But that was during the time where, we went from the 70s to the soul, and then hip hop was just emerging. But then by that time, we was in a little after the mid 80s, and, things were changing, evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And the records I did over there with my uncle Willie Hutch, he wasn't really feeling it.
Right.
Because we were coming from a street perspective,
Gotcha.
as opposed to, how he got down.
That's right.
The record wasn't groundbreaking. So I went out on my own. And then my cousin, Kool 187, Gregory Hutchison, he had formed a group in 1988 called Above the Law. It was with these cats, Gomac, Total Chaos, Laylaw, and the late great KMG from Above the Law. And Hutch made good on his promise because, every time we used to do talent shows, he always tell me, look, cousin, I'm going to take you under my wing. And at that time, I was called B-Boy J Golden.
Right.
And he was called B-Boy Hutch. He wasn't yet Kool 187 yet.
Wow.
But he made good on his promise, sister, and took me under his wing. And I met a cat by the name of Laylaw, who was a contributing member of NWA. You see him in the Straight Outta Compton movies, videos, etc.
Right.
So we did a 3-song demo in Pomona, California. And it didn't take long for me to get signed. Laylaw and Kool 187 took my demo tape to Eazy E. Yeah. And Eazy was like, man, this dude's incredible. These are his words. He was like, he sounded like George Clinton, Rick James, all these cats, Curtis Mayfield, and he rapped. He's like, he's every bit of his name. He's Kokane. And that name, Kokane, was given to me in 1989, prior to signing with Ruthless Records, by my cousin, Kool 187, because he felt my style was dope. So he said, why not call you Kokane? So that was my humble surroundings. Wow. From the 70s period to coming from, a legendary musical royalty to actually being on the front lines before gangster rap even exploded, So I signed to Eazy E, and the rest is history.
The rest is definitely history. But the history before the rest is history is even more mind-blowing. I mean, just hearing you speak on those, sort of key sort of moments in your early life is enough to, man, we need to write a book on you. If they haven't.
I got a book. I got a book coming out called The Making of a Legend. It'll be coming out 2022.
Well done. That's what's up, because this stuff, like, it's, you got the music, you got all of that, but it's that legacy, man. Like, it's mind blowing hearing all of that. And music that again that's shaped so many of our lives. It shaped our parents' lives and generations, and you've had that front row seat into all of
Right.
that. When I discovered that Uncle Willie Hutch was your uncle, and the song I Choose You. I mean, my husband blasts that song in the house all the time. So when
Oh
we were
yeah.
discovering that, he was like, man, this is incredible music history here. So
Thank
again,
you.
such an honor to have you on the show, really.
Thank you.
Let's speak about you, right? The incredible discography that you've created for yourself over the years. Um, as I mentioned to you before we started the show, I was first introduced to you through a great friend of mine, John Payne, who again is an incredible connection. He's got an incredible history as well. You were doing some work with the Dirty Ocean years ago, and there was a single release, and that was when I first kind of got connected to you. But you've worked with some incredible greats in this industry, and
Right.
obviously being signed to Eazy E's label. You've worked with the likes of Snoop and with Dre on a couple of his albums. How has this journey been for you from the start to this point, Kokane?
It's been very exciting. I'm very humbled. I'm grateful to our Heavenly Father, for allowing me to still be here to inspire those as an elder now and a mentor. It's just a blessing to be able to see my kids, their dreams and admirations just really come to fruition. I'm just humbled. I'm just thankful. I very much believe in God Almighty. You know what I mean? His designs are amazing. It's incomprehensible to our own humanly understanding, because he truly makes you out of a diamond out of that pressure. You know what I'm saying? To give him the glory and not snatch the glory out of his hands. It's just been a beautiful journey. When I first came to Ruthless Records, Above the Law came out in 1990, and I couldn't come out in 1990, so we had to wait for Eazy E to make a big deal, and he actually did. He was considered our West Coast Russell Simmons because he was one of the first ones out of the West Coast coming from Compton to really break a big deal at a major distribution, which was Epic Records. The groups at that time were being signed was Above the Law, myself, and a group called Poor, Broken, Lonely.
Right.
And everybody was so hyped on the name Kokane. Once I got to Ruthless Records, a lot of good buzz in the streets was out there. And at that time, FCC laws, they let NWA get away with it on the radio because they abbreviated the niggas with attitudes.
Right.
But we had problems with the name Kokane from the giddy up.
I was gonna ask you how that name has kind of been for you, with obviously, what most people would think of when they hear it. So obviously, if you've got a little bit of street cred, you understand the broke down version. So
Kokane, we turned the name around and spelled it Kokane. That means warning. Listening may become addicting. This is dope. So it was a play on words always, when it comes to hip hop. They thought MCs in the 80s and 70s was talking about moving dope when they was talking about, no, the word dope is fresh.
Yeah.
So it took a time for the status quo to understand, because they're always going to have stereotypes on us. Oh, you from the ghetto, or you call cocaine. No, but we turn it around and spell it Kokane. That means when you hear cocaine funk, you are going to get hooked.
Wow.
But still, radio was still in their traditional, suit and tie, gray poupon type of attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And prior to my single coming out, I had the first single in 91 called Nickel Slick Nigga, which ironically, a year later, that same single is on a Death Row orientated soundtrack called Deep Cover from the movie. But going back to 91, Right when we was about to release it, Epic Records changed the whole title of my name to Who Am I? So when people were going asking for Kokane, they was like, who am I? And that kind of stifled the whole project for the Who Am I, left a bad taste in Eazy, my mouth, just the whole camp. Eazy was very, very pissed off about it because it wasn't no secret to Eazy E. He loved controversy. He learned that from Jerry Heller, who used to manage the Led Zeppelins and all them. Controversy was good, like a rock star. So Eazy was adamant about that, very mad. And that was one of the contributing things that made him leave Epic Records and go into Relativity. But the good thing about that particular door slamming in my face when they didn't want to play Kokane on the radio, it sparked something in me.
Yeah.
And I look back years later because I wasn't anticipating on being on features more than anybody in the game or the world. I was just relentless and determined because music was already embedded in my DNA. And then Kool 187, allowed me to, he said, well, if they're not going to play you on the radio, we're going to have you spread it out on our albums. And then Dr. Dre and Eazy E was pissed off at that time too. And they said, man, we're just going to, man, why don't you come on our album, man? Eazy was like, I want you to write this song, Appetite of Destruction. I want you to write my part because I wrote his part, 10 Gangster Commandments for Appetite of Destruction. So that allowed me to introduce new characters like Sweet Talk on the intro of Niggas for Life album, just as well as get on the Above the Law albums from Black Mafia Life to etc. And my first platinum record was 91. So back then, sister, I was like, shit, after radio. You know what I'm saying? Like after I'm playing, you don't want to play Kokane.
Yeah.
But it was that radio that we definitely needed at that time to help us catapult. So I would just come in the studio and work. That's all I did. For the last 31 years, I've just been working all the time, working. And moving 2 years later, but prior to moving up, in that same year, 91, we got introduced to a cat named Snoop Dogg and Nate Dogg through Warren G, because Warren G used to stay, me and Warren G used to stay with Kool 187 in 1989 at Hutch's apartment.
The connections are crazy.
Yeah, so when we met him, the NWA album was cracking. We met Snoop and them and Nate Dogg finally through Warren G, because he was always talking about these cats for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So brought him to the studio in Inglewood, California, and that was Above the Law studio. And Snoop and Nate Dogg auditioned for Kool 187 because a lot of people don't know, Death Row wasn't even in the mix yet. Suge was bodyguarding for me and Kool 187 Above the Law at that time. Yes.
Wow.
You know, we were even in London in 1989 because Eazy, we went on the NWA tour overseas at Brixton Academy in London. And that was when Suge was just bodyguarding. He did some bodyguard for Bobby Brown, etc. But in 91, I had my single out, Nickel Slick Nigga. Of course, a year before that, Living Like Hustlers Above the Law was out. And then, you know, the success of NWA's Niggas for Life. So once Snoop and Nate Dogg auditioned for us, I was like, wow, Snoop is for real. He was one of the coolest freestylers I heard.
Yeah.
And Nate Dogg had that silky soul voice. And Hutch was like, yeah, what you think, Lil Cuzzo? I said, man, you should mess with them. He was already gonna mess with them. And plus we had a dude, but a white boy homie named Brian Money B at the time. His name was Money B too. And he used to come around a lot. And, you know, he was from Long Beach, and we was like all trying to get Snoop and well, actually Kool 187, Nate Dogg to put a record out on.
Yeah.
But this at the same time, almost simultaneously, the fallout between Dre and Eazy was in that same year. That same year, Snoop Dogg auditioned. I got a record out on Nigga Slick Nigga. They didn't want to play me. We met Nate through Warren G. And months later, Dre was like, I'm finna leave because at that time, Suge had got at us and got at Dr. Dre at the same time because he wanted Above the Law and Dr. Dre on a new record label called Death Row Records. But we backed out of the deal. Remember, like it's yesterday. We backed out of the deal. And we was like, no, we're going to rekindle this business relationship with Eazy E because we love Eazy E. We can work it out. Jerry Heller was a little bit different, but you still want to contribute in him as far as, you know, whatever, you know, you can either love him or hate him, but he still was very important. But our business was with Eazy E. So Eazy E called a meeting and Dr. J didn't go to. Him and Suge was going somewhere else. And Suge called me, was like, man, we over here having this meeting, man. We want y'all to come to Death Row. So originally, before Snoop and before Nate and the Dog Pound, Above the Law and Kokane was going to leave Ruthless Records because there was some discrepancies with the business. But we rekindled our business relationship. Eazy had called the same meeting with Above the Law and Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre didn't go to it. He was already stuck on, I'm leaving, right? So once he left, we was like, okay, that's cool. We were all friends still. We were still talking to each other. And then Dr. Dre, we was at a party where Hutch was in the car and we was playing Black Mafia Life, Above the Law album, Black Mafia Life. And Dre was like, man, what's that y'all, what kind of music y'all doing, man? This shit funky. He said, Hutch said, we call it G-Funk. This is what we created. This is G-Funk. So right after that, Hutch, Dr. Dre calls Hutch and say, man, Warren G brought this tape over here, man. I got two of these cats over here, which is Snoop and Nate Dogg, man. I know you was gonna put a record out on them, Hutch. This is Dre talking to Hutch. But man, do I got the blessing, man? Because I want to work with these cats. And Hutch was like, man, go ahead. Work with them because I'm working on the Kokane thing and he's assigned to Ruthless Records, but you know, go ahead. And then months down the line, all of a sudden we just hear them diss us and then take some of the words at that time, you know, from you know, our camp, our words. And we felt that Dr. Dre had stole some of the theory and style and sampling and different other things, and it sounded like completely like Black Mafia like. And then we hearing our words over there, so we were heated, like, you biting our shit.
That's not right.
You taking our shit. I mean, years later, we put all that away and laughed about it, but at that time,
absolutely,
it was heated. And Eazy was heated, Hutch was heated, Above the Law, myself. So they went after us and we went after them. But we felt we had to really let people know, like, hey, some of the things that they were doing, they got it from us.
100%.
You know, and that started a whole revelation of things, you know, like a lot of people talk about beef, you know, the Tupac and Biggie beef, but one of the biggest beef it was between Ruthless and Death Row. Because we felt they was trying to, you know, take our shit, punk us or whatever. And, you know, Eazy wasn't no punk.
Absolutely.
None of us were no punks. We was like, oh man, come on, let's get it cracking. So that started that whole beef between Ruthless and Death Row Records.
That is just crazy hearing it from your perspective, and also wondering why, excuse me, it was never really sort of touched upon. Now, I know, obviously, I'm going to go into just real quickly, and then we'll get back onto it, but this is all bringing up sort of thoughts about the Straight Outta Compton movie, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the buzz that was around that when it first came out, and a lot of people taking verbatim what that movie sort of depicted, that is exactly what happened. Now, if you're a hip hop, sort of journalist, researcher, a purist like myself, and like so many other fans of both the East and West Coast sort of hip hop, sides, you'll know that
Mm-hmm.
that's not exactly verbatim. Obviously, they did
Mm-hmm.
put bits of truth in it. But hearing this and wondering why that was probably never really sort of mentioned in the movie. It was obviously Hollywoodized. It had to have been. What were
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts? I mean, did you see the movie? Did you
Yeah,
get any commentary with it?
I was reluctant,
Right.
to see the movie, but when I seen it, I was like, man, this is only 40% true.
There you go.
Because you would have to do a docu-series on the NW because it's so extensive and there was a lot of gaps. But I was mad at first, but then I looked at it in a different way. Like, well, they left me a whole bunch of elbow room to really tell these people the facts and fill in the gaps. So it was very ironically instrumental and getting on the platform to hit them with facts. Boom, this happened, this happened, this happened. Because at the end of the day, Hollywood is Hollywood. They don't care about the truth. As long as you have like 10 or 20 or 30% of the truth, they trying to fill in those seats. So I respect that, as a business. But, you know, it was according to a Hollywood movie. And, I'm not going to badger the NWA movie because at the same time, the design of it all really actually furthered my brand because people really want to know the truth. There's some people that go to the wrestling matches and they know it's fake and they're getting entertained. Then there's some people that want to hear the truth.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Don't want to live a lie. You know what I'm saying? Or half truths. So that NWA, I'm glad that movie came about because as a writer, it allowed me to help put those guys in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
So I'm not mad at even if it was only 40%, 50, or whichever percentage it is. I'm still, happy about the design that I put those gentlemen, helped put those gentlemen in the Hall of Fame, and they gave me a whole bunch of elbow room by default.
Yeah.
To really feel and educate the people
Absolutely.
that are really fascinated with what we did.
Absolutely. And you know what? The fascination continues, Kokane. It really does, because this is what this is what it's all about. These honest, humble, conversations about such a poignant time in not only your life, but in the design and in the vehicle of the G-Funk sort of movement within, West Coast hip hop, the artists that you've worked with, the artists that you, like you said, that you have been instrumental in sort of helping to become who they are through, your writing, and then obviously your own journey as well. Let's not forget, you have been instrumental in really changing the landscape of that whole sound of that whole movement. From then to now, right? You've released a lot of music. You are clearly, from what I can tell, very dedicated to this craft, and you're gonna ride it till the wheels fall off, basically.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You have a huge discography, and I know artists hate sort of being asked, what's your favorite track, or what's a standout track, or I'm not going to ask you what your favorite track is, but what I will ask you is if you can recall, maybe a favorite moment of yours in time when you were creating some of, like, your favorite albums, or artists that you've worked with to date. Can you give us
well, going to my personal brand, it's one song in particular that's very, very memorable throughout my career, and it's a song called "No Pain, No Gain" off a record I put out in 1994 called "Funk Upon a Rhyme." Now, when I put out that Funk Upon a Rhyme record, our style had drastically changed. We were just soaking wet in G Funk. You know, you could tell. And even going back to like 91, 92, Pac used to hang around above the law, lay law, and Kokane. That was our little bro. Because we had um, mutual business partners, a cat by the name of Atrian, who managed Digital Underground, rest in peace, Shock G, and Tupac. So, just dealing with that experience and just everything that happened in 91 and 92 and 93, well, actually 92, our style was evolving into like some real parliament stuff. So once we put out that Funk Upon a Rhyme, the No Pain, No Gain drop, and then I didn't know that was going to be a song played at so many funerals had to make your head spin because it was a healing song. So I knew the man upstairs, even though I wrote it, even though I felt that way because I was losing loved ones, it was just going to be bigger than me putting it down. It was going to transcend the times because a year later, when Eazy E died of complications of AIDS, that song was played at his funeral. Tupac, before he passed, I was going to join his Nation Squad, me and him and Spice One. And that was the song that he always played, No Pain, No Gain. No pain, no gain. You know what I mean? And when I say that, and we all need music to help us feel good, but then there's those times where you need music to help you heal.
Absolutely.
And it was a healing song. I mean, years later, they're still playing that song, and that song helped them through a lot of pain that they were struggling with. And I was like, I look back years later and just say, it's a way that the universe uses you that it's so mind blowing. You know what I'm saying? And it helped me heal personally, even though I wrote it, but it was God in it. That spirit really helped me through a lot of dark situations when I was losing loved ones, and you lost Eazy E, you lost Tupac, and it just kept like a snowball effect. Yeah. So once those two gentlemen had passed and some other family members and friends, I went into a dark atmosphere. And I used drugs back then. Even though I was a functional person using drugs, you couldn't tell. Drinking, it put me in a dark place. But music was always the recipe for my therapy. So I used to go around sessions 9 times out of 10. They would put me on, whether it's an E40, whether it's a Too Short, or whatever it was. You know what I mean? They was like, man, I like your style, and let's put you on. And that helped me to put food on the table, number one, because I had kids at the time, me and my wife. But it also created a safe haven for what was to come years later by me being on thousands and thousands of features. I was just working because Eazy E, that was our lifeline. Once he passed, to me, it was time to move on because all the assets was frozen. I mean, I slept in hotels with my family, and here I go from having a platinum record to sleeping in hotels, and music, the business is all that disarray. So I was working and working and working because music, it was definitely a God sent to me. It was a blessing. So it kept up. And I met some cats through the years that took care of me. Cats by the name of Street Institute. There was some Crips from Pomino Block Crip. Since I have ties to the streets, they definitely helped me out. And then, by 1999, Snoop wanted to squash the funk, and I wanted to squash the funk because I knew Snoop, Calvin, before the Death Row experiences, and he seen I was doing a lot of stuff with Trey D, who was later that through the years was going to be part of the East Siders. So we squashed the funk, 1999. We was homeboys before. We used to laugh about it. We like, man, y'all was dissing the shit out of us, and we was dissing y'all, but we was listening to each other's music still.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Thing about beefs, man, like you're listening, but you're hating as well, but you're listening.
Yeah. So he said, I'm starting a record label called Doghouse. This is the last record I have over there at No Limit Records. And they parted ways in a good fashion. But when he started the Doghouse, he said, man, I want you to come over here and do a couple songs with me because I like your style. Of course, he liked my style. It influenced a lot of people. But he, in his way, he was saying, man, whatever you do, man, I want that over here. So he was working on a group called the East Siders. And it was Goldie Loc and Trey D from two different hoods. So he were able to, by getting that group together, it made a lot of peace between those hoods and knocked down the walls of division. And then I had introduced them over there to the sound that Snoop already know. And it just worked more than the OJ glove. It just fit, it fit real good. And I didn't know he was going to put me on so many songs on The Last Meal. It's just as well as I reconnected with Dr. Dre doing LA Niggas on the Chronic 2001. So my name was ringing. It was two names that was ringing the most on the West Coast and just worldly. And that was the late great Nate Dogg and Kokane. You know what I mean? So I had done songs with him, and after we did all that, it was just incredible, man, over there at Doghouse, because I've done like at least over 50 songs over there. They really dissected the sound and put it out there, you know. And back in 2000, I was just doing work everywhere. Puffy, Busta Rhymes, Jadakiss, Mobb Deep, Prodigy. Just so my range was not on the West Coast. It was really global. And then people from everywhere across the world just I need that Kokane feature. Whatever you do, the silly laughs, the nostalgia you bring to the game, they was really digging it. But what goes up must come down, because of the internet, a lot of companies were becoming archaic. There were just a big flood was coming through when that iPod and Napster and all those came through. It was the calm before the storm. We didn't pick up on there, but then everything started filing Chapter 11, bankruptcy. And at that time, we were supposed to come out with my record over there at Doghouse because he got a distribution deal through MCA distribution, who's now no longer around no more because of what the internet really did. It made people minimize what they were doing, man. Seriously, like they came in and jacked the whole game, and billions and billions and billions of dollars was about to be lost from the music industry. So MCA filed Chapter 11. I couldn't put out my record. I had Goody Mob, Ludacris, everybody on that record. But once MCA, the distribution, filed Chapter bankruptcy, then everybody broke apart. I had to wait a year to write an inducement letter to Snoop and attorney and saying I'm out of the contract. Wow. You know, Snoop went his own way. At that time, Trey D had to, you know, he went to jail. Not had to, he went to jail. Goldie Loc did his thing. Battle Cat, Superfly, Fred Wreck, Doggy's Angels, everybody just scattered like roaches with the lights on. And then here I am in this dark place again.
Yeah.
So I had to go back to the streets, got in trouble. I had to go back to the streets, got in trouble. And when I was in jail, that was my turning point. That was my pivot, my divine pivot. I said, I'm tired of this up and down thing. I want, I want to start something, and I want it to be around forever, to something I can trust. And I started this label, 2006, with my wife, Alicia. Shout out to Alicia.
Absolutely.
And I said, this is going to be a family orientated company where the realest people in the world I can trust is right here, right here. This is what I identify. So after serving some time in prison, which was a short vacation, praise God, I was just seeing on the television, Seattle, Northwest. You know, then I go on my bunk and I read the word of God. And then somebody else, oh, we from Seattle. Woo, woo, woo. And then I'm going back over here and it's a television because I played in the movie Old School with Will Ferrell and Snoop.
Yes.
Which is big comedy.
Yes.
But I wasn't interested in. After the commercial go off, they would talk about Seattle. So it was this one night where I was sleeping and my body, no bull crap. My body, I had like an out of body experience. And that was the Holy Spirit just telling me, no, I got something better for you and your family. And I didn't know nothing really about the Northwest. You know, I used to come back up here, and that was on a different chord. That was on some hustling stuff. But I didn't know nothing about it. So when I got out of jail, I talked to my wife, and she was like, baby, I've been feeling the same way. God been putting images in my head. And it was just burning like a match.
Wow.
And when we left furniture, bed, television, because we didn't want none of the energy, even from the clothes that we were in.
Yep, totally understand.
We left, and when I left, tears of joy came. And I knew I was headed in the right direction with my family. And God, when I got here, it was like, okay, I'm here. But then God was telling me, oh, I'm not going to make it easy for you still. And I was like, God, what are you talking about? Right? All these things. But God is a master designer. And he was like, if it's something that you really want to do, I must allow you to be tested.
Yeah.
To see if you go backwards, because I must ensure that I can trust you. Kind of like what he did with Abraham when he was about to whack his kid. He was like, I need to trust you. So it was rough. It was rough the first 3 or 4 years. But then things started subsiding. Things started turning around in our favor. The intelligence and research from my wife and my children allowed us to secure a nice fan base and make sure our schematics of our business was on point. But it was rough. You know, I came from listening to God, was so adamant on all these things that I experienced. And God said, when you get here, I'm going to still make it tough on you. And he did that. But after that 3-4 year period, my wife was always telling me through the years, you know, a lot of features, you know, a lot of features. And then she stopped me one day and said, babe, you know how many features you want? Because I didn't care about. I wasn't on no arrogant shit. I didn't care about. I just like working. I'm a musician. I like working. That's what I do. And she said, nah, baby, let me do a research. So she did 2 years of research.
Wow.
When she did that 2 years, her and my son, I mean, getting up in the bones, like you on this feature, it came out to be thousands and thousands of features. So it made me feel good that no matter what, all the dark times, God allowed me to work to not just secure financial stability, but to leave a legacy for my kids. That's going to, besides the generations that's going to come. So it put me in a great position to be, you know, look back years later, through the good and bad, through so many, you know, that I've been at their mission statements, and when they were starting off, from your Nipsey Hustles to your, the list goes on. I am very humble, and I give all glory to God, because I could not have done that without God putting a beautiful queen in my life,
Absolutely.
like Alicia, and beautiful children to help me take the veil of illusion off. Now I'm just, I look back, 31 years making records, actually been in the game 35 years, and God preserved me. God preserved my wife and preserved my children. It's just a beautiful thing that I can go ahead now and get my jollies off inspiring young up and come rappers, and because all you need is inspiration for elevation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Change the trajectory of your career by just thinking with a positive attitude, because at the end of the day, your attitude really determines your altitude.
Absolutely.
So I've been blessed to be on so many features, some of the most incredible cats that are not here, from your Nipsey Hussles to your Tupacs to your Eazy E's to your Mac Dre's to your Jay Dillas. It gives me goosebumps sometimes talking about it.
Me goosebumps.
Yeah. So, but I'm very grateful to the culture.
Yeah.
Big ups to the culture, because I'm very successful now, but financially, but the real prosperity is peace within, and giving your testimony to somebody that you don't know how big they're gonna be. You know what I mean?
100. Seriously, just listening to you speak and sort of walking that journey with you. I mean, we could talk for hours. You've really taught me so much in this last hour that we've been connecting, about just being yourself and remaining in your humility, no matter where your journey takes you. That's always what I've been about with my own journey here as a woman in hip hop, and as a truth seeker in our own hip hop community here in Australia. It's important to always walk in your authenticity, and to never let anybody. Nobody can ever steal what God has given to you. Nobody can ever take that away. But He's not going to give it to you easily, like you've just said. You've got to work for it. You're going to go through tests. And just hearing you, listening to your story, and I know there's so much more there, and I'm so glad to know that there's a book coming out, because you have created such an incredible legacy, and now your family's going to carry that on. The way you speak about your wife, the way you speak about your children, that's something that I think hip hop has always needed. And so many of the messages, it's always been lost in the misogyny and the disrespect, and all of that sort of stuff. There's nothing to be glamorized, and but just hearing you're an absolute pioneer in this game, and it's been so enlightening to talk to you about your journey. Thank you so much, brother, really, for your contribution.
Thank you.
And for what you do.
And well, you're not done. No, we got some exciting things going on.
Let's talk about that. Talk to me
about Buddy Boy Entertainment, and we're independent, man. We pride ourselves on controlling the autonomy that we have, because so many brothers we learn from, our ancestors, our peers. Some of the greatest records, those people died broke, and we pride ourselves on independent. When you look at your iTunes, I still use those services because I have a distribution, but I use less of it. Yeah. And the reason why, because we're winging ourselves just to be 100%, don't have to use nobody. So through the years, it's starting to get less and less, because everybody take their percentages, everybody got their hand in your pocket. And if you really want to make prosperity and a lucrative business for your company, well, you're gonna have to find out ways on how to cut the middleman out. And we cut the middleman out, and we have, like I said, our company is called Buddy Boy Entertainment. So a lot of the influx of the traffic worldwide, it comes to my site at www.buddyboymusic.com. We put that out everywhere. Is because we want to be able to, pay for some of the costs, and whatever else we want to do as far as marketing and promotion, because people don't realize, because of the internet and different other things like that, they're really raping the artists through the streaming companies. You know what I'm saying? And the streaming companies can be used good, but not to the point to where it's benefiting the artist wholeheartedly. So now we take the power back and put it into the hands that deserve, because, each record I'm putting out, them studio costs. It costs for a flight, costs for this. And you got somebody over there with a streaming company, wherever part of the world that don't really know nothing about the culture, but it's just getting their pockets fat. So all our stuff, a lot of stuff that we put out from here on out, like we put it out under our label, 100% independent, www.buddyboymusic. You can come right there. That way, if I sell a record for $30, 29 is going in my pocket.
There you go. There you go.
You see what I'm saying? So it's about empowering and controlling your autonomy.
Absolutely.
And I owe that to my family, because they are my research team. Yeah. They are always in the libraries. They are always, studying, whether it's ISO or certain other things that they're doing pertaining to the business. And, it's going good now. Good. So we released some singles. Yes. One of the singles that I am so happy about is doing a song with Kool, the last remaining member of the Fat Boys.
That's right.
Because we recently, hip hop took a blow when it lost Prince Markie D. Yeah. And I grew up off Fat Boys. And when I was doing talent shows, they was selling millions of records, wow, so to speak. And got a chance to hook up with him, put this record together, because the singles that I'm dropping out now is setting them up for 2022. I have a full soul and funk album called Give Me Five on the Black Hand Side. Yes. And I got cats like Curtis Blow, Kool. I don't want to let the cat out the bag, but
I know
there's one single, Hush, it really hits home, because we actually did the video in New York, went to all the intimate spots where he was born. Wow. Where the Fat Boys was based, because there's not enough emphasis on our peers.
Yeah.
The gossip orientated rap then took away the authenticity of our real rap. Yeah. And you got to look at the Fat Boys. The Fat Boys was just equally yoked and big as Run DMC. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because of the Fat Boys is the reason why years later rappers can do movies, because they really hit a jugular vein and got it to the masses. When you look at movies like Disorderlies, playing in movies like with Freddy Krueger and rocking the first Fresh Fest, you know what I mean? Fat Boys was big, man. I seen one thing when they used to come out, they would have 10 to 20,000 people outside of their hotel room.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? So they impacted me. It was Houdini, it was Run DMC, Beastie Boys, and the Fat Boys that were like most impacting during those times. So going back years later to do a song with Kool and the brother is Kool and the AC fan. You know what I mean? It's just so real. But that lets you know, when the universe put things together, it's a strong bullet point to get everybody back to this type of energy, which is good, because you see what Jadakiss just did on the verses with the locks. Hip hop is really back on a worldwide roll again.
Absolutely.
And this record, right?
That good hip hop, right? Yeah.
And this record came at a right time. That's why timing is everything. Keep working, y'all. Keep working. Timing is everything. And the record is out. And my sons did the video editing, because I keep everything in the family. And we just getting it out there, one day at a time. There's some real hip hop lovers out there through the worldwide hip hop community. And Australia and overseas has always been nice to me, like nice to Jimi Hendrix and Marvin Gaye. You know what I mean? I love overseas. You know, they're really into, especially our era, because you can
Yes,
see whether it's even if it's R&B, you can see what the K-pop is doing.
seriously.
You can, it's like, you know. So I'm glad that there's a lane still for this Hush record, real hip hop bars, real good beat to get back to really kind of tackle the
Yeah.
gossip of rap,
Thank
because
you.
that
You
was
know what?
never rap.
Okay, I'm so glad that you've tagged it as that, the gossip of rap, because it really is. Hip hop's come through such a turbulent time with gossip and um with with all of that negativity around it. Even some of the artists. I mean, I know my husband's always telling me, man, you got to let the kids just do what they do. It's their time. It's how they express themselves and how they see hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a purist. So you talking to me, it's like, you know, oh, this is it. This is why I got into writing about hip hop and starting off in radio and being a DJ myself and all of these things, these incredible things that I've been able to achieve through hip hop has been because of artists like yourself, the movement that you came in under. So again, to see it do full circle and to go, the vanguards aren't giving it up yet, right? You're a vanguard of hip hop. You've worked with the vanguards. The Snoop Dogs are still relevant today, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, Jadakiss, hello, always been an incredible messiah for hip hop. So where do you see the the current state of hip hop right now? Obviously, with the young sound, I liken it to fast fashion. It's here for now, tomorrow will be gone, but they're still doing their creation. But where do you
Yeah.
see that fitting into the actual tapestry of hip hop? Do you think these younger artists understand the culture enough to be mainstayers, long stayers like yourself? Or is it
Well, that's the, for me to say it's all the youngsters and all that, that would be very, very honoring.
yeah.
The ones that are popular, because there's some incredible young musicians out there
Yes,
that
there are.
play instruments,
Yes.
lyrically killing stuff. But see, the companies that have a lot of the stuff like the rhetoric, because it's sad, if you OD or if you kill yourself, you're more worth dead.
Man.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't understand it's layers of it, but one of the things at the top of the layer is that they anticipate you, you know, doing something crazy so they can get the money off you while you're gone.
Yeah.
And what hip hop and independence of hip hop is doing is actually bringing awareness to that, and it's bringing the respect back. It's allowing us to have etiquette, again, because there was your pros and cons growing up in our era. Don't get it twisted. I'm not going to say the new era is bigger than our era or vice versa, but it was a snowball, effect, and consciously hip hop raised the awareness, whether you was listening to a Chuck D or you was listening to an NWA F the Police. It still raised the consciousness. But where we got lost is via the internet. They let every Tom, Dick, and Harry on there, and you don't know who's on the other side of that keyboard. And the word celebrity got taken. There is no such thing as celebrity, because anybody can do something
Yeah.
outrageous and go viral.
Yeah.
It made it an open target. It took the discipline out of it. It took the hard work out of it. So I think hip hop, because everything comes back in a full loop. I think it's allowing us to get our respect back, like who we are as a people in the culture, and how this particular music that started in the suppressed environment called ghettos touched all ethnic groups around the world.
Mm.
Hip hop is really gospel,
Man.
so to speak. Hip hop is gospel. So we want to take the gossip out of rap and put back the etiquette, put back the respect, put back the talent. You know what I mean? That's why I'm glad Brother T-Pain hopped up about a month ago or 2 months ago and said, man, y'all killing me with this auto-tune overkill.
You know?
You know what I mean? Because it gets to a point to where, you know, if we were back in the Apollo days, they throw rotten apples at you.
Yeah.
But see, there's a certain frequency Satan plays on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? God's frequency is 432 hertz. There's another frequency that Satan plays on that people, if they don't know the intel, they're oblivious to what I'm saying. And then if you show me where popular music is, especially in the States, I'll show you where the ghetto is at.
Wow.
Because there's nothing to feed us our ear and images, our pineal gland. All we doing is just manifesting things with no balance.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody, like when we were making records, we didn't expect you to, you know, you listen to the gospel channel and you listen to this channel and that channel and everything would be in a balance. But when it's mostly negativity, those balance of the universe is offset and it has to replenish itself just like the earth. And that's what hip hop is doing. It's replenishing the music that we feed the ghetto so it can change their attitude, change their whole shift. You know what I mean? So it's like now I'm glad hip hop is back, you know, to where it's on the way, getting back to where it belongs, so to speak, so we can at least have a balance. Back when we was growing up, it was a balance of music.
Yes.
You can listen to a sexual healing record, and then you can listen to a Marvin Gaye, what's going on.
Yes.
But at least we had a balance. Right now, the way things is going on, it's sad that kids are having challenges about how many bodies that they killed. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And it's like this and that, and became rhetoric. And, you know, God picks people to be frontline soldiers. And I feel that with even a record like Hush with Kool and myself, you know, it's produced by a cat named Chill from Compton's Most Wanted, by the way. And I think it's one of those ones to help start the process. But all collectively, those that really love hip hop really know it's time to change the trajectory back to where it needs to be to.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And that's raised the conscious mind.
That's what's up. Brother, you know what? It has been so enlightening speaking to you. And just, I thank you so much. I just thank you for existing and for creating. And I cannot wait for the new music. I know that my husband has a plethora of music of yours that he listens to, and that I know he's going to make me sit down and listen to after this interview. And I know now I'll go into it with so much more depth and so much more knowledge of you and of the love that you have, the pure love that you have for what it is that you do. So in closing, I want to say thank you so much for your time and just for what you do, and just continue it, please. We definitely, you are definitely a not only a pioneer, but you are a vanguard of this thing we call hip hop. So
God bless you. Appreciate that.
We do.
And, I appreciate you having me on the platform. And
anytime.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What'd you say?
Not at all. Anytime. And you're always welcome back here. I definitely want to talk to you more, you know, as things progress, obviously with the upcoming releases and whatever I can do to help spread the word out here about all of your incredible new music. Definitely will.
Well, most importantly, thank you. God bless you, your husband, your marriage, everything on your creative journey as well. And I want to give love to DJ Baby D for linking us in. Just shout out to all the fans over there. You know, shout out to all my mateys over there from the land down under. You know, there's some incredible stuff going on. I asked everybody over there, just go to my site at www.buddyboymusic.com. That's where all my music is at. We got a lot of good projects from my daughter coming out with a single called Korma is a Bitch. Me and Sugar Free got a project coming out, and that's going to be a doozy called Sugar Cane.
That's dope,
you know, so
man.
It's a lot of funky music. Yes, it's a lot of funky music coming out, and you know, if the funk hits your soul, then it's good for you. You know what I mean? So we spread the funk, we spread love, and we keep the music alive, man. And man, all glory to the Most High. He make this possible. So consider your family over here in the States.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. And like I said, definitely whenever you're releasing any new music, anything that's coming out, blueprints behind you. So keep it going. Ride it till the wheels fall off.
Thank you. Let's keep funking.
We certainly will.
Yes,
you stay
ma'am.
safe out there, yeah?
You too. God bless you.
Thank
It's
you.
Hennessy.
Thank you, Kokane.
Ain't nothing wrong with different styles of music, but this is real hip hop. Man, tell this little kid, man.
Hey man, hip hop is a freedom of expression, but you gotta keep it in perspective. What we're gonna do right now is show you how we do our brand of hip hop.
Man, you ready to learn? Come on, nephew. Let me show you some real hip hop. We got Kool in the place to be. And Kokane, put a stain on your brain. We gon' take it back to the future with this shit. This is real hip hop. Let the 6-4 drop. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. This is real hip hop, so fuck what you heard. All this scratching is making me itch. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. This is real hip hop, so fuck what you heard. To all the real B-boys, just kick that shit. I rock with Kool ski, I'm not for Kool in the gang. In California, we bang it, we be serving them things. From the left of the coast, we be doing the most. Champagne for breakfast, so let's take a toast. To New York City, where hip-hop was created. We took it back to Cali, and radio played it. Hitting them switches, keeping it gangster. Dipping through the city, knocking fat boy bangers. Back in the 80s, when it was real in the field, I had a fresh Seville, and I was dressed to kill. Went to the party, the homies is bucket. Some niggas is faded, some niggas is thugging. Grab a fire, little mama, get your two-step on. The break dance or pop lock to your favorite song. Man, I miss those days like Rick the Ruler. Take it back to the past and bring it back to the future. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. This is real hip-hop, so fuck what you heard. All this scratching is making me itch. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. This is real hip-hop, so fuck what you heard. To all the real B-boys, just kick that shit. That's true. To see how hip-hop changed, the game became strange and just ain't the same. We used to have fun at the hip-hop jams. Grab the microphone and watch the boy go ham. I got my old school feelers, fresh in my Adidas. I'm a real B-boy rocking that big drum beat. A microphone massacre, I'm ready for battle. Part the Red Sea and move the crowd like cattle. Get your elbows off the table, this ain't a fable. Shout out to the architects of rap that made it able. All you new booty MCs better do your homework. How you love hip-hop and don't know Kool. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Sugar Hill Gang kept the party alive. Curtis Blow, to name just a few names. I rock with Kool ski, I'm not for Kool in the gang. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. This is real hip-hop, so fuck what you heard. All this scratching is making me itch. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. This is real hip-hop, so fuck what you heard. To all the real B-boys, just keep that shit.
I stay fresh, dressed like $1 million. I walked around New York with my jewelry untucked. You out of your mind if you ever try to stick 'em. Stick 'em, ha ha ha, stick 'em. That's Kool Rock, original fat boys. Stop playing. And I'm back with the West Coast OG Kokane, the real hip hop. From day to dark, when Kool Herc started this in the parks. Africa, Bambaataa at the Roxy, y'all. Salute to the 1 Grand Wizard Theodore. Papa rappers in lockers, let me see what you got. It's the boy Kokane and my name's Kool. Yeah, east to the west, of course we're fresh. Oh, you thought that we were rotten? Huh, I beg your pardon, too old to be rapping, that's truly absurd. This is real hip-hop, so fuck what you heard.
Hush, little baby.